So my view of the UK internet sector is really based on, I think, a concept of a free-for-all, massive disorganization in a sense. When you're looking at some of the other markets, so it hasn't been great. I think it's been necessary in a sense that, to get fibre into the UK, the small players had to move first and essentially, give BT OpenReach the kick they needed to kind of, get going themselves. So, I think from a regulatory standpoint, it hasn't been ideal. I think some of the kind of access regulations have been great, but in terms of managing these rollouts and ensuring that they're viable and getting operators together has been a bit of a nightmare. So I think, given the panel we had on investments, I think that was really interesting because it was fascinating to see how much everyone is struggling. Yet there is, I think, a positive note or an undertone to what they were saying, in a sense that it takes time to get to where they need to get to. That was always what they did in the Nordics, was to look 10 years ahead and say, okay, my return on investment is not now, it's in the future. And I think there's always going to be a clash between what investors want and kind of getting fed dividends and all of that stuff versus actually making progress with network build out. I think the key thing that was missing from that for me, and I made this comment earlier, was really about regulation. Regulation is really important to get the market, structure and ecosystem right, and that communication between local authorities as well to ensure planning and access to street works and all of these things that cost a lot of money and are actually the biggest pain point. I think that's what was missing for me a little bit from that panel. But from a finance perspective, it was very interesting to see and hear the numbers. Well, I think it's important because our internet really is the fabric of society today. So it's digital infrastructure is everything. It's all the digital transformation strategies that people are pursuing, within every single sector and every company, is really propped up by fiber, and that builds the economy of the future. So while certain things at the moment are not viable in terms of rolling out, I don't know, special mobility services for cars and things like that, right? Or metaverse kind of related things and kind of these value add elements that are kind of maybe more valuable for the B2B industry. That's what building out fiber now is doing. It's building that economy of the future. So it's critical. I mean, it's not a choice that you have to make. It's a choice of when to do it, but at some point it has to come. I think today has been very important because it brings together companies that often don't get an opportunity to chat. And I think especially when you're talking about these smaller players that are struggling, you need a forum for communication. And this is what I was talking about earlier on, about kind of communication with local authorities, but also between, operators that are making success, of it in their rural networks or semi-rural networks. So I think that forum is important because we don't have many of those forums these days. I think there's maybe a couple of other events that bring those sorts of people together, but this is very focused on the ISPs, and that's really the critical factor here. And I have enjoyed today. It's been great. It's been great meeting people. I think you've got a good mix of vendors and ISPs here. It's companies I've only seen on paper, so it's good to see faces and stuff. So yeah.